Hey there, everyone. It's Amy from the Creative Confidence Catch Up here. Welcome to the podcast that's designed to inspire, motivate, and encourage you no matter where you are in your creative journey. Join us as we share insights, stories, and triumphs of individuals who have harnessed their creative confidence from discovering your unique voice to overcoming creative blocks. We'll delve into strategies to overcome any self-doubt you may have that can help propel you forward. So in this week's Creative Confidence Catch Up, today I'm going to be chatting with Steve. So would you like to talk a bit about yourself, Steve, and what you're all about?
Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, how you doing? So I'm Stephen Alexander Simmons. I am a life coach. I'm a support worker. I've got my own radio station. I'm a foodie. What more do you want to know?
Honestly, it's like, I go on to socials in the morning and usually I find like you'll have a post about food, there'll be a post about like radio, music, all these different things. And it's incredible to see. It's been really interesting to see your journey. So in terms of like a lot going on there, would you say like as you're out there or being out there and your confidence always being that way, or hasn't it?
No, I mean, most definitely not. And it's one of those things that, you know, how people assume stuff of people, and
Mhm.
people assume because of my character, they think I'm naturally outgoing. I'm
Yeah.
totally not. I'm totally
You
not. I'm
it's
actually I'm insecure, and this is between me and you and your audience. You know, I don't know who's listening, but
No
I'm
worries, no worries.
actually quite insecure. I
Mhm.
have very low self-esteem. I'm very I'm an overthinker.
Mhm.
So those are kind of like my negative traits, if you see. They're the things that you don't see behind the curtain, so to
Yeah,
speak.
definitely.
So in order to overcome that, I have to almost push myself more. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? Um, and at one stage, I used to use comedy as a kind of a mask, really. So, you know, being the funny guy meant
Mm.
that people didn't like, you know, pick on you and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
you could be kind of accepted, do you know what I mean? So I was always like the class clown and stuff like that. But it's only recently in these last few years, I've actually been pushing myself out there. And actually, it's been thanks to, you mentioned Steve Thompson. I think, you
Yes.
know, we both know Steve Thompson. And he did like this video challenge. I think it was called Blogtober, I think, something like that.
Oh, yeah,
And
Vlogtober, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Vlog. Is it vlog? Blog? I
I
don't
think it's
know, but
Vlogtober, yeah,
I think
yeah.
it is, isn't it? But the challenge is basically for 30 days is just to appear in front of the
Yeah.
camera, and that for me was amazing because it kind of just gave me a lot more confidence. Um, so yeah, so yeah. Sorry, in answer to your question, I haven't always been that confident. No, not at all. It's always been a case of just pushing myself out there, and you know, it's the best thing that you can do, I think.
Yeah, I think this leads on to like the next part of what I was going to ask you, to be fair. So in terms of like we would mention Steve Thompson, obviously in terms of social media, etc. When was it then? Were you was it around that time? Do you feel that having community support around you actually kind of lifted that confidence in a way to push you in a direction which you feel that you could what's it, find your potential?
Yeah, one of my things is I'm quite competitive. I don't like admitting that, but I'm actually quite
Mhm.
competitive, and I'm a sulker, right? I'm a sulker, and I like to win, right? I like to win. Whatever I do, I like to win, and so being part of that community meant, right, this is it, right? I'm going to be top dog, right? I'm going to show them, right, what I'm made of here. I am born for the stage, baby. Do you know what I mean? And so, and so being part of that community meant, okay, right, this is my opportunity. I'm
Yeah,
gonna just go all in here, because they say that, don't they? They go, do you know what? Go all in, you
yeah.
know, go big or go home. So
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm gonna do this. Rah. But being part of the community meant actually you kind of in it together. And what I valued most actually was it's okay to be vulnerable. Do you know what I mean?
Totally
It's
agree.
okay to struggle, because I think one of the things as an overthinker we struggle with is it's just me that's doing this. I'm a failure. I'm no good. I can't do this. Whereas if you're part of a community, you can say, well, actually, other people are struggling with this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or
Mhm.
if you're like me, you can have a little giggle to yourself and go, do you know what? Actually, I'm actually not too bad. You know,
Mhm.
I could be as bad as that person. Do you know what I mean? I mean, they say you shouldn't compare to yourself, but actually, it kind of makes you feel good sometimes. But do you know what I mean? So there's that sense of you're in this together. And I think there's something beautiful about that. And I think there's a real strength in that. And that's why I think community is really good, because it can hug you when you need that hug, and it can lift you when you need lifting. And you've got
Mm,
that strength to just try. I think just try new things. Do you know what I mean? And it's
yeah.
safe to do that. And I think that's, for me, is what the beauty of community offers.
Yeah, I love that idea of what you were on about in terms of like vulnerability. And this is one thing that has been cropping up in some of the other episodes actually, just recently. About that idea of being vulnerable. And when you actually, even though it's hard to do that initially, you find that when people resonate and connect, you can help support one another. And it's quite nice, that is, I think.
Do you know what? Actually, so I've got into your nose. Being vulnerable has actually opened up so many questions, and an engagement for me. I was doing a talk about. Have you seen the film City of Angels?
Don't think I have, no.
Oh, okay. Go and watch it. Basically, there's a beach and there's loads of angels on this beach, and they're looking out for people. And I basically did this walk and talk about how I believe in angels, and I
Mhm.
know Steve's a big believer in angels and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I basically said, look, I know not everybody might believe in this. I know everybody might not get this. However, I do. I'm a big
Yeah.
believer in this. And it's something that I don't really share with people, but I did it. And actually, the response back was amazing, because then that opened up conversations about, actually, my place is haunted. And I was like, well, actually, I used to be a ghostbuster where I used to go into people's houses and I used to help them
Really?
with their ghosts and stuff. Yeah, yeah. So from being vulnerable and talking about, actually, I'm a believer, do you know what I mean? To actually going, actually, I have more to offer
Hmm.
than I even thought about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So so yeah, I've got an appointment with someone to go and do a bit of ghost busting for them, because they've got this evil presence in their house. They haven't even slept in their own bed for 6 months.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
honestly,
worrying.
honestly. I know. So I said, yeah, this is something I can offer here. I was like,
Mm.
yeah, cool. And all because I put my hand up and said, I believe in angels. I'm going to be vulnerable and say, look, I believe in angels here. Anybody else?
It does open up those opportunities though, doesn't it? And sometimes I think we do have to, even though, what is it, being a bit like, even if like we put ourselves in uncomfortable situations, like we don't want to do this, over fear of someone saying something to you, bad comment or whatever. Sometimes you do have to do that, don't you? Because if we don't,
Yeah,
we'll never know.
yeah, totally. And I think we're denying ourselves and other people by not being that vulnerable. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
I think we're denying ourselves, because it's a part of who we are and it's a part of our growth. Because if we say, I'm not going to do that because I feel vulnerable, I feel scared, I'm going to be frightened, then you never do it,
mm.
potentially. And actually, there might be somebody the other side, actually, who's waiting for you to take that step, to take that move, because actually seeing you do it gives them the confidence to do that.
Yeah, definitely. So another thing that I've started to notice, like in terms of like this idea of building a community and being vulnerable, etc. I've noticed that you seem to have a lot of trips out, and I like the idea of all these food reviews that you're doing, and I suppose building a community with those people to help those local businesses where you go and talking about the food, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I've always worked in like the charity sector and the hospitality sector.
Mm,
And so I have a big passion for food in general, and I have a big passion for that kind of business. And one of the things that upsets me is, sometimes you see a shop close. You're going down the high street and you see a
yeah.
shop close, and you
Mhm.
say to yourself, oh, I can't believe that's gone, right?
Yeah.
And then if you ask yourself, well, when was the last time you actually shopped in there?
Mm.
Right? Like Thornton's, for example. Everyone was like, I can't believe Thornton's has gone. Well, actually, when was the last time you actually shopped in
Shopped.
Thornton's?
Yeah. Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And so actually, we've got to take responsibility. And so, well, actually, we need to kind of be actually supporting those businesses. We need to be going in, if we love them as much as we say we do. And so for me, seeing these food businesses just close because of the lack of custom, because of lack of advertising, whatever, it's heartbreaking for me, because I do like my food. I do like that business. And so I've got something to offer, right? I'm like, hey, I'm a showman. I'm going to say how good this cake is. I'm going to dribble it. Oh, it's good. You know, and the other day, I just did like this video of a scone, however you want to say it. and the cream was oozing and the jam was delicious. Do you know what I mean? And then this friend was like, I'm going out for a scone now. Me and my girls, we're going out for a scone now. And I'm like, yes, do you know what I mean?
I
But
love that.
there is something about food, I think, that kind of unites us in so many ways, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, whatever it is, do you know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
something about that. And it does create a big community of people because who doesn't like food?
Yeah, exactly. That's really interesting. And I suppose like obviously with your personality and the way you show up, especially on social media, it's like that energy, the way you are is quite infectious. So like for somebody to be in front of on a camera and saying, "Oh, this is great," it's like that idea of, in a way, mindful marketing for other people, but it's a way in which you can be authentic, and because you're being authentic and you're saying it as it is, people start to trust you and like who you are, and as a result of that, they kind of yeah, they follow in your footsteps. So it's like, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
eat that food.
I mean, what I love is occasionally people phone me up and go, Steve, like, where's the best place to eat around here?
Mm,
I'm like, yes, I've made it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's quite sweet when people say that, or when they're on holiday, they go, "Oh mate, where's that cafe that you was in?" Or "Why do you always go there?" And I thought, yeah, and to get business owners reply back to me and go, "Thank you so much for that review.
That's
That
so
was
nice.
amazing." It's really beautiful for me. Do you know what I mean? And it's something I don't get paid for doing it. I
No.
wish I did. It'd be nice for some businesses to go, "Hey, do you know what? That's amazing. You're brought in loads of business for us. That'd be great. Have a free meal. Do you know what I mean? Have a free cup, whatever. That'd be amazing." But I don't do it necessarily for that. I do that because I love food and I love businesses, and you know, and I
Yeah.
eat well. I'm not going to lie. I eat
No,
well.
but the way, like I said, the way that you show up, it's very authentic, and I just feel like in regards to our next question about the idea of creativity and how your newfound confidence, I suppose, through forming this community with different people. Yeah, it's like that idea of people have to know, like, and trust you even before, for example, if you are a coach, if you are somebody who is selling something, you got to know, like, and trust somebody. And for you, it seems to be really good in terms of like the creative stuff that you're doing now, in terms of like are you on TikTok and things like that?
Yeah, I think, do you know what? I think you're right. I think there's so much that makes so much sense. I used to sell Tropic. Have you heard of Tropic stuff?
Oh yeah,
Right.
the
So I
brand.
used to sell Tropic, and actually I found that really, really hard because one, because I'm a guy, I'm a
Mhm.
man. You know, I don't know much about skincare. I don't, you know, it's not something I generally use, but it's something I felt passionate about. So I thought I'm going to give
Mm.
this a go, and I was lousy at selling. I was lousy at selling because I hadn't got that audience. I couldn't be confident on camera because what do I know about pores and spreading you in and you know and like you know toning and cleansing? What do you know what I mean?
Beauty
I'm like,
regimes and routines and
yeah.
all that.
So I went down the you know, like the sex sells idea. So I had like the shower gels and I was doing all this. Yeah, these shower gels are really nice. Oh, yeah, you want to buy them, right? And so, yeah, I got the audience, but that's because I was a guy doing all this with the shower
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Did it sell any showers? No. They were like, yeah, do more of that, Steve. But it wasn't selling the product. I was selling myself. And then suddenly I turned into like this like rent boy or something. I'm like, no, I need to step away here because this is not the sort of
Not the audience you want.
exactly. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's more. I felt like I was on like an OnlyFans site all of a sudden. I'm like, maybe this isn't what I want. You know, this isn't the image that I like. You know,
Mhm.
everybody
Mm.
likes to feel good and sexy, don't they?
Oh
But
yeah.
this was going down a road I did not want. You know what I mean? I'm like, no.
But I suppose that, like, personality, once you have that sort of, "Oh, actually, I can," like, people are attracted to that sort of personality, persona, the way you are, it's then starting to utilize it in a way which, yeah, if it is you feel like you can do it through a comedy sense, you can then start to align that with with the people and the passions and the stuff that you are truly passionate about, which is, I suppose, the food and yeah, the radio and all that sort of stuff. If you want to talk about the radio as well, that'd be great.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the radio thing just came from a little boy's passion, really. I
Mhm.
grew up in always listening to the radio before I went to school. You know, I'd have the radio on and you'd have your hair and do this on us. So I kind of grew up with the radio, and I met one of my childhood radio presenters heroes, and I was like, how did you get into radio? And they kind of gave me some answer. I was just like, I haven't got a clue, but I like the idea. Do you know what I mean? And then I think it was about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, there was an advert on Facebook going, who wants to be a radio presenter? And I'm like, yes, right.
Yeah.
Hadn't done it, got no training, got no media skills, hadn't been to college, university, none of that. I just fancied doing this. I thought I can do this. So I did. I basically joined this radio station, and I was doing like the Love Zone. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. I love doing it, right? Because I love my love songs. I love them, right? And I had this deep voice. I was like, you're listening to the Love Zone. Do you know what I mean? And it was brilliant, and I loved it. But the guy really struggled with managing people, and he struggled doing his like radio station. And so that one folded. And then we tried again. That one folded. And then by the third time, I was like, I can't be doing this again. And so he said, look, Steve, I'm going to have to cancel the radio station. I went, no, I will do it. I'll manage it. I'll take it on. I'll do it. So I did. And I was like, Steve, what are you doing? You know, you've got no real business experience. You've got no real radio experience. You're just some guy who likes talking to a microphone. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so now my radio station has been going for over a year. We celebrated our first birthday at Christmas, and
Wow.
the audience has grown. We are international, which is, it's random. Like I go on and there's like somebody from Romania listening, because you can see where they're going, and
That's
Germany.
amazing.
I'm like,
That's so cool.
it's quite random, yeah. And then suddenly, because I'm starting to promote like local businesses in Hemsby, you know, like that connection to local businesses that we were talking about earlier, I'm basically saying, look, as a radio station, we want to advertise you, we want to support you. How can we serve you? And then suddenly everyone's like, oh yeah, that's cool. And then they're resharing my posts and stuff like that. And all that came from one review. I went to a pub, had a fantastic meal, and I went, yeah, this is great. And then the pub landlady or whatever shared that post. And then because they're part of a community, you know, we talk about community, their community started to adopt me and started to share my posts. And so you can see like how this kind of all connects, don't you?
Yeah,
It's like
and then
amazing.
in the meantime, I suppose the confidence is growing, sort of thing, as well, because obviously then you were believing more in yourself and your abilities as to, oh, actually, what I thought I wasn't so good at, I am actually good, because people are supporting now and people are kind of championing and kind of advocating what it is that you do.
Yeah, very, very much so. And I think other people kind of champion you, like you said, you know, so you don't have to work so hard at the marketing, you don't have to work so hard at the selling, which is what I hate, but
Yes.
because other people are doing it for you. You know, check out what this guy's doing. Oh, look what he said about our business. This guy's an absolute lunatic. You've got to like follow it. Do you know what I mean? Whatever it is.
Really, really
Um,
cool.
yeah.
It really is. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on today and spending your time chatting to us, because like you've got some really interesting insights, and I'm sure what it is that you've been talking about today will be a much inspiration, encouragement, motivation to a lot of people who will be listening. So in terms of like a last little tidbit, what about words of encouragement or words of wisdom? Is there anything that you'd like to finish off with?
This is going to sound easier said than done, but I just say go for it. You know, feel the. I think there's a saying, isn't there? Feel the fear and just do it anyway. And I think you just have to do that. You know, what's the worst that can happen? It might go wrong. Well, do you know what? We're used to things going wrong. So is that the end of the day? No, it's not the end of the world. Do you know what I mean? But if it goes right, oh my gosh. Oh my
The
gosh. So I
possibilities.
say go for it. And who knows?
Never know what will happen.
Yeah, exactly.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for your insights today. It's been much appreciated.
Thank you for having me. And if we can support any of your listeners in any way via the radio or reviews, then do let me know.
That's brilliant. Thank you.